Cancer is actually a parasite, believe it or not, and the cure cost $5. A drug designed to kill parasitic worms just helped 3 stage 4 cancer patients into complete remission. And absolutely no major cancer center will run a clinical trial on it. How does a drug that kills parasites also kill cancer? At the molecular level, cancer really is a parasite. It consumes your resources, it spreads into new territory, and cancer runs the exact same survival machinery that parasites and fungi have been using for billions of years. In 2025, over 2 million Americans were diagnosed with cancer. Cancer in young people is up 79% in 30 years. Colorectal cancer went from the 4th leading cause of cancer death in young men in the 90s to number 1. And I just want to mention something about survival rates too. If anyone ever tells you that they're improving, realize that survival success in cancer means this. If you survive for 5 years, it's a success, okay? And so if you die past the 5 years, you're still considered successful. So first, let me give you a little foundation of what cancer is. The first thing you need to know is in your cells, you have these things called mitochondria. Those are the energy factories in the body. And from every unit of glucose, you make 36 units of energy. They call that ATP. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of how it morphed in our bodies and became part of us, but we made an arrangement that the mitochondria makes the energy and we provide the home for this bacteria. When it's exposed to toxins or radiation and it becomes damaged, now it's going to actually take a different pathway to make energy, okay? Because in the body, it's all about energy. When it reverts into this other system of making energy, this is an ancient system, okay? And it's not very efficient. It's a backup system outside the mitochondria. This system exists in bacteria, it exists in funguses, it exists in all different types of life forms. And this system of energy is very crude and it doesn't make a lot of energy. It's very inefficient. And when I say inefficient, the mitochondria make 36 units of energy per glucose. This only makes 2 units of energy per glucose. And this is what cancer is, okay? A Nobel Prize winner named Otto Warburg discovered this nearly 100 years ago. And this is why when they diagnose cancer, they use a PET scan. What is a PET scan? Well, they inject you with radioactive sugar and then scan the body with this machine, and then the cancer will light up very bright on these scans. And so when you do a PET scan, they can see areas in the body where there's a lot of metabolism of sugar. Okay, that's where you have cancer because cancer is eating that up. So cancer is using this old backup system. It's a primitive survival mode called glycolysis. One of the problems for our cells is there's a lot of waste from this crude machinery, and it's producing a lot of lactic acid. And cancer can thrive in that environment where our cells have a hard time. If there's damage in your lung from smoking, for example, and there's inflammation, cancer might travel into that area. Now, I will say that cancer also has some backup plans too, because it's very, very adaptive. It can also live on an amino acid called glutamine. It also can live on branched chain amino acids. And in advanced cases, it can even live on ketones. That's for a different video. And I know this sounds depressing because like, what are we going to do? Just hang in there. I'm getting there. So now what does cancer have to do with parasites? Well, if you think about it, the backup system, glycolysis, okay, is one of the oldest metabolic pathways on planet Earth. Researchers have identified 3 different survival systems that parasites, fungus, worms, and cancer all use to survive. The first one is an internal scaffolding. The scaffolding is an internal skeleton that makes up the structure. And what's very unique about cancer and parasites is they both are rapid dividers. Like even a tapeworm, for example, can produce 50,000 eggs a day. Cancer cells divide nonstop because they basically don't have any more breaks. It's all accelerator. And so if we take an anti-parasitic drug, fenbendazole, this is a drug that grabs onto these little tubular proteins and breaks the scaffolding down. And all of these other anti-parasitic drugs, whether it's ivermectin, natural herbs like wormwood, black walnut hull, and clove, do the same thing either directly or indirectly. The second survival mechanism is they turn off this self-destructive button. Normally, when there's damage within a cell, it actually commits suicide for the greatest good of your body. These parasites, these fungus and cancer cells, have this little sign on them that says, "Don't kill me," okay? And this somehow tricks the immune system into thinking that it shouldn't kill them. The anti-parasitic drugs and natural remedies actually just remove this little badge, so that way your immune system can take over and kill them. Now, let's talk about the third mechanism of survival, okay? All the parasites, the fungus, all use glycolysis. Well, these anti-parasitic remedies basically start blocking either directly or indirectly glycolysis. So all of these antiparasitics inhibit the fuel source for cancer. And when I was looking into the ivermectin and fenbendazole, I didn't even realize that the other herbal natural remedies that a lot of people take for parasite cleanses also do a very similar action, indirectly and directly. The question is, why haven't you heard about this? Well, first of all, the patents expired years ago, and no one's going to spend $100 million on a $12 remedy. Most of the research, which I'm going to put links down below, are from universities in South Korea, India, and small labs. No industry funding, no conflicts of interest. There's also quite a bit of published case studies documenting these antifungal results in stage 4 patients with cancer that have resistance to chemotherapy. Another interesting study in 2025, fenbendazole targets regular cancer cells and cancer stem cells. These are the seeds that survive chemo and regrow tumors. 100% survival in treated mice, 0 in untreated controls. These compounds even work in chemo-resistant cancers. So yes, you need to cut out the sugar and the refined carbs and the refined grains and the refined starches, because all of that will feed cancer. And I know some people are going to have questions. If I have cancer, do I have to also avoid glutamine and branched chain amino acids and ketones? That information is in another video I'm going to put down below, because what you want to do if you have cancer, and I'm not telling you to try these remedies or not try them. I'm just giving you information to do further research. But if you have cancer, you need to do multiple things, because cancer is very smart. And there's a video I did that talks about how to rotate the diet. So as soon as the cancer starts adapting to one fuel source, you change it to another diet and you keep rotating it. But the other thing you have to realize is that the immune system really is the most powerful thing to kill cancer. And there's 2 cells, one called the killer T cell, and number 2 is the natural killer cell. Both of these immune cells directly kill cancer. And there's 4 things you can do to support these 2 cells, okay? Number 1, you can start to increase your vitamin D levels, but you don't want to just take a little bit of vitamin D, like 600 IUs. That's not enough for the immune system, especially for these 2 guys right here. Fasting, regular fasting and prolonged fasting is probably the most powerful weapon. I've done a lot of videos on that, and I talk about why. Sleep also helps to support these 2 cells, and exercise. So given that information, the antiparasitics, both medication and even some of the natural remedies, have the ability to dismantle the survival mechanism of not just parasites and worms, which are basically the same thing, but also cancer. Why? Because cancer behaves like a parasite.